People's National Party's Disciplinary Committee will investigate the scuffle that caused a disturbance at the National Executive Council's meeting on September 27, 2020. People's National Party has requested that its disciplinary committee investigate the scuffle that unfolded during September's meeting of its National Executive Council. The chairman of the People's National Party, Fitz Jackson, has acknowledged reports that some very unfortunate remarks and gesticulations were made during the disturbance at the Jamaica Conference Center. But he has said that it is up to the disciplinary committee to determine culpability. According to other reports, the dispute involved Papine Division Councillor Venetia Phillips and a delegate from the National Workers' Union. Fitz Jackson has said that the committee, which is chaired by Attorney-at-Law Linton Walters, will take the necessary steps to interview the persons who were involved in the disturbance and gather other evidence before making a recommendation to the People's National Party. If there is any truth to the report about the remarks that were made during the scuffle, then disciplinary action must come to bear on the party or parties that are responsible for making those statements. It might involve one or the other or both. From the investigation, they will get the facts and then action will follow where the facts lead. Phillips had been pushing for the People's National Party presidential and vice presidential elections to take place at the same time. She argued that two separate rounds of political activity may further divide the People's National Party. However, sources inside the meeting had stated that Venetia Phillips was prevented from making her point and was attempting to leave when the NWU delegate made abusive utterances at her. Venetia Phillips reportedly turned around angrily and responded, but was restrained by a fellow People's National Party vice president and other persons. Based on the information, it seems like Ms. Venetia Phillips was prevented from making her statement. She was prevented from expressing her opinion fully about her desires to see both elections in the People's National Party occur at the same time. Her concern was about divisiveness and about the party having to go through two rounds of factions. What do you think about her response to the National Workers' Union's delegate who said some really caustic remarks to her? She was later restrained by Mikhail Phillips and other persons who were at the PNP meeting. Hanna and Mark Golding have promised to engage in a clean People's National Party's presidential campaign leading up to the November 7th presidential elections. People's National Party's presidential aspirants Mark Golding and Lisa Hanna have both pledged and agreed to run a clean and fair presidential campaign. Both individuals signed a code of conduct at the People's National Party's St. Andrew headquarters on Tuesday, October 13th. Approximately 3,000 PNP delegates are set to vote for the new president on November 7th, following the resignation of Dr. Peter Phillips. This is the second People's National Party's presidential elections in over 14 months. Last year in 2019, Dr. Peter Phillips had to go up against Peter Bunting when he was issued the Bunting Challenge in 2019. September 2019, there was a bruising challenge from Peter Bunting's Rise United team that went up against Dr. Peter Phillips' One PNP team for the leadership of the People's National Party. Now, Peter Bunting was the former Manchester Central Member of Parliament, had made some caustic statements about Dr. Peter Phillips, and these statements have been blamed for the PNP's loss in the September 3rd general elections. Of course, there have also been statements made that These activities that occurred in 2019 would have led to further divisiveness and factions within the party. Caustic remarks from 2019 have caused greater divisions and have deepened wounds within the party. Of course, the political organization has stated that this 2019 campaign was one of the main reasons for their massive loss in the September 3rd parliamentary elections. In an attempt to avoid repeating any of these issues, the party leaders arrived at a code of conduct which holds each candidate responsible for their personal actions. It also outlaws personal attacks, malicious statements, or vulgar abuse issued towards a fellow challenger. Candidates must strictly comply and ensure that their campaign teams adhere with the party's social media guidelines, which governs the conduct of members in digital and online activities and communication. The chairman of the PNP, Jackson, has stated that it is customary to have candidates sign a code of conduct after they have been duly nominated. However, given the campaign that is currently ongoing as a lead-up to the presidential elections on November 7, 2020, it is more important that they seek to have the candidates, their supporters, and their management teams fully apprised of the guidelines in this code of conduct. Dr. Peter Phillips also extended a warning to supporters of both Golding and Lisa Hanna. According to Dr. Peter Phillips, he wants to urge all supporters of each candidate to be mindful that the foremost interest in all of this is the protection of the interests of the People's National Party. After they signed the code of conduct, Golding and Lisa Hanna made a commitment to working with each other to rebuild the party. We intend to run a clean campaign, and this campaign will not hit below the belt. Our campaign team has been very strident in that. We believe in a vision, not anything that will cause damage to the party. Golding also appealed to his supporters to stay high and not to go low. Campaign for the presidential elections of the People's National Party is currently ongoing, and with the candidates having signed this code of conduct, we hope that they will adhere to the rules and the guidelines outlined in this document, and that they will behave in a responsible manner and keeping at the foremost of their mind that the People's National Party is of primary interest to them. And if they behave in a way that is not in line with what is stated in the code of conduct, then that will only lead to further damage within their political organization. It is also necessary that some action be taken after the investigation is completed into the scuffle that occurred at the September 27th National Executive Council's meeting at the Jamaica Conference Center. Someone needs to be held accountable for their actions. And of course, with adults having a meeting and with professionals meeting to have a discussion, it should be that persons are able to engage in a conversation in a civil way. Leave your comments down below. Do you believe that both candidates, their supporters, and their management teams will adhere to the rules and guidelines that have been outlined in the People's National Party's Code of Conduct? And do you believe that the NWU representative or Ms. Phillips will be held accountable for their actions?